I'll be the first to admit, 20 years ago I bought $10 30 packs because it was cheap. But now I'm more into quality over quantity.
First time I tried it, tasted a little strong to me because I was used to all that light beer that didn't have any flavor. And then I slowly worked my way into the good stuff.
It's an evolution. I think it's a process. It's like the first time I actually tried to try beer. I had to force myself to do it. But after I actually started learning how to like it, and actually starting to like it, definitely you start acquiring different tastes.
Probably if I had to pick like one brewing pet peeve over all others, it would be people who say, I don't like the taste of beer. You hear that a lot, actually. And to me, that's a product of people who only know mass-produced, mass-advertised light lager. And to me, that's like saying I don't like the taste of food, because I mean there's beer out there that tastes like literally everything from bacon to bubble gum.
It tastes like chocolate and caramel. It's really nice.
Really, really rich. So I'm getting quite a bit of spice on it, slight peppery notes.
Nice sense of banana and clove. Real nice traditional Hefeweizen.
A little bit of you get the jalapeno on the finish, which is nice.
Bitter.
Tasting some citrus in there, maybe a little bit of like banana. It definitely has some kind of fruit notes to it. Some grapefruit.
Chocolate notes.
Like coffee. My palate is not yet sophisticated enough to, quote, peel the onion and dissect the different flavors. I drink beer, I like beer, and I just kind of know what tastes good when I taste it, and then kind of go from there. But I have an adventurous beer spirit.
Philosophizer.
It's exciting. I think that's a big part of what drives craft beer. Is there's always something kind of new and exciting out there versus something that's very uniform and tastes the same no matter where in the world you go, like light lager.
I don't like the commercial beers that you buy in the convenience store, but I like the Austin Ambers.
I guess I like them a little bit more strong than a wheat or a Hefe, but a little bit lighter than an IPA.
I am an IPA fan.
I'm big into box. I like that sweetness, that light body, and something I can really just really kind of sink my teeth into.
I like a really hoppy beer, like an IPA or a real dark one, like a Guinness.
As you keep drinking these things and you're drinking them all the time, you want something that's like, wow. And it used to be that an IPA did that to everybody. Would go, whoo, can you believe that? Boy, that thing is 6% alcohol and it's got 70 bittering units in it. And now that's kind of normal, That's our daily drink all the time beer.
IPA that we drink now, I promise you 10 years ago, nobody could have drunk. Everyone would have been like, whoa! The bitterness levels that we've taken it to, and just a basic threshold to be an IPA now is so high and I think it's awesome. I mean, we're really exploring flavors that apparently, for some reason, no one else has ever explored in the 2,000 years of beer history.
You know what? I bet they have. I bet you hundreds of years ago, people tried to do some wild stuff with some hops. Good hop year, they started just putting piles of hops in beer. And anyway, and I think some of it is overdone, and the emperor wears no clothes. I am usually more impressed with a small brewer who can make a great Pilsner than I am with somebody who can throw piles of hops in a beer and make it so only the hairiest chested men in the crowd can tolerate it.
5 years ago or so, there was sort of this huge trend in the craft beer market for bigger, bolder, and more in your face and crazy and hoppy and sometimes undrinkable beers and that sort of thing. It was just sort of an arms race of hoppiness and alcoholic strength and all that. I think that there are an awful lot of craft beer drinkers who really appreciate a good lighter beer, a good lower alcohol beer that still has a ton of flavor. I think, there are a lot of people that just want to have a nice pint and, hang out and chat with their friends and whatnot, or, have 3 or 4 beers in an evening at home and not be, drunk when they go to bed.
I'm sort of in this mid-range where people think it's boring, I guess. But I like it there, and I do see, you hear the word session a lot now. So there are a lot of breweries making what people call session beers.
It's not that we're trying to say that, quote, extreme beer is bad. We just feel that, there's a place for smaller beers.
What I like are some of the extreme products that have odd ingredients in them. Honestly, I bet you all those odd ingredients have been tried as well, but I kind of find those are a little bit more interesting.
When you start adding in all of these different wild ingredients, different sources of sugar or herbs and spices and things like that, it takes an absolute command of understanding those ingredients to know what they're going to put into a beer. But there's also this mystery in, I can throw this into a batch and who knows what's going to happen with it.
We just want to explore new things, new spices, new ingredients, new yeast strains that we've never used before. We brewed a beer with acorn squash, not because we wanted to one-up any other brewery. We just want to see if we can make a beer with acorn squash.
We do it all the time. We'll take our own beers and we'll mix them. We'll put half of this and half of that, and then we'll throw some crazy spice or drop something else into it and go, what do you think about this? So we're always throwing flavors around like that just because we're curious what it'll taste like. And if one turns out well and we like it, it may end up on the wall.
But I really do think that people will start to move back more towards almost traditional styles. Because once you've gone this way, it's just like anything else in the world. You get this pendulum swing. And when it comes back in, it tends to settle down into these more traditional places.
I think some of the challenge in developing a brewery is making a beer that can withstand those fads, if you put it that way. So you're not making something that's only going to be good within a window. You want to make something that's going to last for years.
You don't want to produce a novelty beer. You don't want to produce a beer that people want to, try a taster of, but will never want to purchase a pint or purchase a bottle.
We want to make beers that you can drink and revisit, as opposed to go, I had that beer once and I can't see myself drinking another. We want people to enjoy it and have another one.
But what we see is with extra competition for tap handles, if they're just going to make some of the standard beers, then they might not make that tap handle as maybe somebody else who has something a little more standoutish. So does that mean they need to make something a little more flashy? And I don't want to see it be like who's the flashiest, who has the most adjectives on their beer kind of thing. I don't want to see it like that.
If you just made nothing but lighter styles and you didn't do any of that, I think it's a lot harder to get any visibility. People don't really notice you right away. And I think there's a couple startups like that right now where they haven't really done anything to really bring that awareness to them. They make beers that are fine, they just don't have anything that would appeal to the super big beer nerd, who loves his limited release stuff.
You don't want to just have, well, I've got this blonde ale, and then I have this malty amber, and then I have a not very hoppy pale ale, and and then everything's just kind of at this level. You want to have this going on, right? You have to have the accessible, but you've got to have the intense too.
I mean, look at Great Divide up in Colorado. They were going along doing okay, and then they released big beers. And now, boom, their sales skyrocketing, their reputation skyrocketing. It raises all their beers. Their biggest selling beers is probably still their pale ale, but it's because they have that reputation of making this bourbon barrel aged imperial stout that brings the people into their pale ale also.
It's a matter of finding that perfect balance, When you drink a beer that sort of demands another because it's so drinkable, it can be intense in flavor even. It can be a double IPA or an imperial stout, but if all those flavors are harmonious and in balance, then you have a product that is distinct. And that's not really that easy to do.
You can go to 10 different places and they all got a pale ale, and they are all completely different.
It can range from brewery to brewery, and that's why the craft beer industry is really growing, because each brewery has its own, area of expertise.
You can never have enough IPAs. Everybody doesn't like the same IPA. Some people prefer them drier. Some people prefer them a little more crystal malt now, a little sweeter. Some people prefer them more bitter. Some people prefer them with more hops in them. Everybody's got a different taste.
There's 5 or 6 or 8 maybe now IPAs on the market. So we all have to keep our game kind of a little bit tighter than we might have had to had we not had so many IPAs available. But at the same time, having that many of the same style available is just exactly what I want, to offer to the people. So it's just an exciting time, I think, really. It's keeping us frosty.
I don't feel like someone's going to say, I want his beer instead of his beer. It's going to be, I want his beer, okay, now I want his beer, and now I want his beer, and now I want his beer.
Competition exists because we're doing the same thing, but it's not the same kind of cutthroat competition that we're talking about in every other industry out there, where they're trying to take revenue from another competitor. You know, I have my 6 taps, and behind me are 20 world-class taps. So it gets me to up my game. I want to have a great lineup so people can come in here, and if there's something I'm lacking on my tap list, then it's filled by the commercial tap list, and that person leaves satisfied.
You know, particularly craft beer consumers like choice. You know, they're notoriously fickle. They like to drink around.
Rarely do I ever back-to-back drink the same beer.
Oh, I definitely go for what I have not tried.
What's new? Basically, if I haven't had it before, I gotta try it.
Try everything they have, basically.
Yeah, you know, I'd say 50% of the time I know what I'm going for, and the other 50% of the time I ask the bartender, you know, what's hot, what's not, spin the wheel, and let's try something new.